Do you have an emergency?
Today on Rescue 911.
Anytime you go inside, you're looking for trouble.
Firefighters face more than flames.
Sounded like an explosion.
And a falling building could turn heroes into victims on Rescue 911.
There's a special bond among firefighters. But when they roll out the hoses and attack a blaze, they are all too aware that the beast they're battling is one that's not easily defeated. And even the precautions they take are sometimes not enough to prevent a tragedy.
Mark and I went through medical school together 5 years ago, which is when we met. And he was probably my closest friend in the fire department here.
He's a very aggressive firefighter. He wanted to get that fire out right now. And he was doing everything he could to do that.
I told him that I would probably lose him because he was someplace he wasn't supposed to be, you know, just pushing it.
I don't believe he was aware of the danger, and he probably was not aware that he was in such a vulnerable spot.
At 4:06 a.m. on October 10th, 1990, a call came in to the Santa Ana Fire Department.
Fire Department.
It's a fire in Bristol and First Street.
Bristol and First?
Yeah.
What's burning, sir?
The tires.
Okay, is it in a store?
Yeah.
Inside of a building?
No, in the back.
In the back?
A lot of tires.
A lot of tires in the back to the rear of the store?
Yes.
All right, we'll be right there.
Engine 3 on 1 Charlie at 407.
A single engine from Station 3, including firefighter Dennis Atencio, was dispatched to put out what they believed was a small fire.
As we turned the corner, we could see flames a lot higher than that there building. The tires were leaning up against the building. The tires burned really hot, so it worked its way right into the building, and that's when the interior portion of the building caught on fire. The captain called for a full assignment.
We have a single-story, well-involved building. Go ahead and give me a first alarm assignment.
Units respond, District 126.
7 additional units from Stations 3, 4, and 5 were immediately dispatched to the scene. Firefighter Lorenzo Abundas was among them.
It was a still morning, right from First Street, right out of the station, where you could see a real dark column of smoke going straight up, just like a chimney. And I looked at my captain, and he looked at me, and he said, "This is the big one."
In charge of the scene was Chief John Chambers.
We thought if we could make an interior attack, we could save records, computers, and possibly valuable information that could keep the people in business.
Firefighter Abundas cut the doors to gain entry.
When I cut the hole, there was a lot of smoke that came out. And then I could see inside the glowing.
Captain Bill McCoy was supervising one of the entry teams.
Anytime you go inside, you're looking for trouble because it's dangerous. But it's a great way to stop a fire if you can get to it in time. I knew it was a tire store, and I figured we might encounter a vehicle or two in there. I wasn't sure exactly what we'd see. And as it was, we didn't see nothing. You couldn't see your hand in front of your face. It was really boiling. My job is to make sure that nobody gets hurt. So I'd go in and then I'd come out and I'd look and see where the fire was, because if it gets above you and it's really hot, you can have a building collapse. And after I went back in the third time, I could see we weren't going to get anywhere. Why endanger those guys' lives if you're not going to make any progress? So we pulled out.
All they could do now was try and keep the fire from spreading.
My breathing apparatus ran out of air, so I went to replace my air bottle. When I came back, I saw Mark Idy pulling a hose line, and and I just went ahead and backed him up. So we were right up against the wall.
There was a huge facade around the whole outside of the building. And I was very leery of that right off the bat. I've seen them fall before, and they're usually not as big. This was large, all stuccoed and wired and framed. It was heavy. It was very heavy. I was watching my guys, and I don't want those guys underneath that thing, because if it falls, it's going to kill somebody. So I just grabbed them both and pulled back on them. I says, watch the facade, not the fire. But I had no idea there was anybody else underneath that thing, because I couldn't see because of the smoke.
I was standing there watching the firemen battle the fire, and I looked toward my right, and all of a sudden, I saw Mark Idy and Dennis Atencio there. Sounded like an explosion. I could feel the wind from it when it hit the ground, lifting up the dust and some of the embers, and it was on fire. Dennis and Mark were gone. I didn't have time to put my breathing apparatus on, so I just went in there, lifted up the facade. I remember grabbing something which I thought was Dennis Atencio.
I felt something grab me and pull me back, and I was being pulled back, and the next thing I know, I'm out, and they pulled me out in time before I sustained any burns.
And I looked down to the south end, and I saw Abundis with, and I couldn't believe what I saw. He had the frame and the corner of that thing on his shoulder, and with his one free hand was pulling on Mark.
The smoke was gaggy. I tried to hold my breath as much as I could. Mark was making a real muffled cry. It was very screechy, real, like a death cry. I remember it was very, very heavy. And I started yelling, I can't hold it any longer. And I was pulling.
Paramedic Aidan McGuire was sent to treat the injured fireman.
It's bad news. The roofs weigh a lot, and they're usually burning when they drop. So, I mean, there's potential for somebody getting killed quite easily when the roof comes down on somebody.
To the back of the neck, okay?
When paramedic McGuire arrived, he realized the victim was his close friend, Mark Idy.
It's very difficult working on a friend, trying to maintain at least outwardly a calm appearance, even though inwardly I was kind of freaking out about the whole thing. When I looked inside his nostrils, they were looking very red, which is a sign that he may have got some hot gases. That could be a life-threatening condition, if not now, within the next couple of days, or it could lead to a permanent disability. It's something that you're very concerned about, his airway. He was in a lot of pain, especially from this burn on the back of the neck. We probably put a couple of gallons of water on it between there and the hospital, just pouring it on, and then it would evaporate, and it'd stop burning, and we'd put it on. And just talking to him, just trying to calm him down.
Deep breaths. Let's get some oxygen in you. Just relax. How'd you like, Mark?
Mark was transported to UC Irvine Medical Center, where his friend, Nurse Tina Sorensen, happened to be on duty.
My heart speeded up a little because it was somebody that I knew and somebody that I knew well. It's not routine anymore. Whatever happens in that trauma room, whether it's a good outcome or a bad outcome, is intensified.
Hey, this is Mark Idy, a firefighter.
We work daily with the paramedics and with the firemen. They see us each day. They bring us patients each day. We talk on the radio. It's really like one of your own team members has been hurt.
Got some singed nasal hairs. His mouth is clear. There's nothing in there.
Mark's wife, Leslie, a flight nurse, was on duty across from the hospital when paramedic McGuire came to tell her what had happened.
He was very solemn, so I was, that made it all the more worse. I didn't know what to expect. It was the hardest thing I ever did was walk into that trauma room because I just know what happens inside that room. He was sitting up, but he still had all the black soot all over his face, so he looked like his skin was charred.
Mark had managed to escape with only a badly broken ankle and burns on his face, neck, back, and shoulder, thanks to Lorenzo Abundis.
If the wall had stayed on him, I would guarantee that he would have died from inhalation injury. He would have had so much hot smoke material coming into his lungs, his airways would have closed, and he would not have been able to breathe.
Later that day, Lorenzo came to visit Mark at the hospital.
I walked in there and he looked up at me and he was real happy and had a big smile on his face, and he just yelled out, "There's my hero!" It was great. It was a real good feeling to know that he made it through.
Thanks, Dale. And your thoracic's okay.
3 months later, Mark Idey's injuries are almost healed, but the memories of that early morning are still vivid.
I could feel hot embers and hot coals starting to slide down my back. The flames got to my face. I could feel the skin on the left side of my face start to burn. And I realized that the superheated gases and the very hot air that these flames were giving off was going to kill me before I actually burned to death. And I had resigned myself that there wasn't any escaping this one. What Larry did was nothing short of a miracle. The facade must have weighed many hundreds of pounds. But something happened to him when he saw that thing fall on me.
He's a hero as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I don't know how you can describe something like that. He's just, I don't know. I'm really glad he was there. I have him to thank for that, for Mark's life.
I don't know how heavy the wall was, but I feel that I got the energy and the strength from just knowing that there's somebody trapped there. There's two of my buddies trapped. Yes, I risked my life to do what I did for Mark and Dennis, but they would do the same thing for me.
Lorenzo Abundis received a Special Heroism Award and the Fireman's Medal of Valor for having saved the lives of 2 of his fellow firefighters.
We're real tight. We're real close. We joke around a lot together at the station. We're off duty, we get together and we do things, and we're a close family. We all stick together, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.